everlasting one. Yeah, cut out all the corruption, positive movement. By the strength of Jah, I live longer. By the length of life, I get stronger. There's a grievous burst of anger, but I am bigger than that, never go under. I could have been one of the most notorious, I just say, by the King and His love, it's a glorious. I could have been one of the most devastating, I just say, I could have been one of the most notorious, I got it, by the King and His love.
Great way to relax. Listen to the most reggae on the joint, Sirius XM.
Yeah. What's good? Man, they got a live going right now.
Look how far we go, look how far we have to go. So many things.
I saw the video he did earlier on Sister Stacy.
They can't kill your fight, don't let them kill your pride. Keep your head up, don't let them take you for a ride. But mine is suicide, so right now you decide. You'll have to pick a side, open up another eye. Righteousness,
no shit. All right, well, getting it in, you know what I'm saying? Everybody getting it in. Well, right now it's March, what is it, 28th, 2019, and you know, right now we have a nice little high pressure dome created by all the spraying, keeping the clouds away for another day, the second day in a row. Anyway, real quick, some of y'all have heard me mention the Fullerton Informer quite a few times. You know, I mentioned him a few times, but you know, now there's some very interesting things going on that tie into a lot of what's happening around the world right now. Shit's getting deep, man. Shit's getting deep. There's a lot of shit going on right now, and you know, it's reaching a boiling point, and I feel like it's important that we big up and support those who are fighting. You know, those who are fighting to get the information out there that they would love to suppress. So the Fullerton Informer is his name is Joe Imbriano, and he's out of Orange County, and you know, for a couple decades to allow dangers to be aimed at our people, you know, aimed at kids, you know, and whatnot. Like he's a big anti 5G guy, you know. He's up on all the information in regards to what 5G does, you know, what wireless technology does in general, and you know, he's very outspoken and shameless in getting the information out there, because it's very important that if you're going to step out there, you're going to put your neck out, you're going to jump out the window, it's very important that you do it full bore. You know, no half measures. You know, he does everything full measure. There's no half measures with this guy, and I got mad respect for him. You know, he's just a real dude. You know, he speaks his mind. He doesn't care what people think about him, and you know, quite a few people have made videos, you know, hating on him and stuff. But you know, he just keeps it pushing. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really entertain a lot of it. And, you know, nothing stops him. Nothing stops him. But there's some recent events that occurred that made me want to come out and speak. Yeah. So he's spoken out against a couple people that he feels is you know, are shills and not or pretty much controlled opposition, and I can see the point. A couple of those people is one of them is Deborah Tavares, and in particular, there's this cat Dane Wiggington. Okay, he runs the Global Alert News Hour. All right, every Saturday, and you know, he speaks out against geoengineering. He has a website called geoengineeringwatch.org. And he has a lot of information about geoengineering and all the things that our government is doing to modify and control the weather and how much damage it's causing to the biosphere. All right. Now, one thing about Dane Wiggington is that he's very fatalistic. He's very defeatist. Now, he does encourage people to speak out against this stuff. He does try to gather voices to speak out against the geoengineering, which he says is the greatest cause of global warming, right? And I would agree. I would have to agree with that, because it is. Y'all know how I feel about CO2, you know, which is what they're blaming global warming on, you know. But he feels like CO2 is a part of it. I would have to disagree with him on that. And he's big on overpopulation, the overpopulation narrative. But you know, he keeps speaking about how, oh, you know, we're already past the point of no return. The world is never going to recover. If we keep going at this rate mathematically, we're not going to survive 5 or 6 years from now. You know what I mean? Like, he just puts out this, you know, it's fear porn to me, you know. And I was watching him before I even knew who Joe was, Joe Imbriano. And every week, you know, when you listen to his broadcast on Saturdays, it was essentially the same thing. You know, what's up, Concealed? I'm just talking about my boy Joe. I don't know if you heard of him, the Fullerton Informer, but you need to check him out. He also has a new channel, a backup channel called WikiLeaks, or not WikiLeaks, but WikiJoe, WikiJoe, WIKIJOE. Now, so what happened is, you know, I was kind of getting tired of Dane Wiggington's, you know, fear porn, you know, fear mongering. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you can't sit up here and say, yo, you know, we're all about to die in a few years. You know, we might last another 20 years if we stop the geoengineering right now. But if we keep going at this rate, we're going to die in 5 years. But then he wants to, it's hard to lift people up, right? It's hard to lift people up if you're just going to, now, be real about yours, right? Don't pull no punches. Don't, you know, I mean, if that's how you really feel, I can understand you saying, look, if we don't do something right now, it could be a wrap. But and the way he puts it, like, it's just like, oh, it's definitely going to happen. You know, this is all we. This is the future we're headed toward. Like, it's very like this whole apocalyptic talk. Like, even with Deborah Tavares, she does the same shit. You know what I'm saying? But one time, Joe Imbriano, did a video about him. It was a 30-minute video. Now, not the entire video wasn't about him, but he talked about how he feels like because Dane Wiggington, he believes in what NASA says. We all know NASA is not very credible, right? And they already acknowledged and admitted that they do CGI shit with these images they put up, okay? Now, Joe is a flat earth believer, okay? And he's a Christian. Now, I'm not sure about the flat earth thing. You know what I'm saying? A couple years ago, you couldn't tell me the earth was flat. You couldn't tell me that. As a matter of fact, I used to argue with this dude all the time. You know, he would tell me, oh, the earth is flat, the earth is flat. But after listening to Joe a few times, he comes up with convincing reasons why he feels the earth is flat. That most people don't talk about. But anyway, so he did a video, you know, talking about Dane Wiggington. And what happened was, like I said, he was breaking down how Dane Wiggington has friends in NASA and stuff like that. You know, Dane Wiggington, he has people that he goes to. Like he has like former NASA employees, former CIA agents, former Air Force pilots, people like that. He has all these kind of people that he gets information from, right? That he says he gets information from. And my thing is, it's like, so Joe feels like, okay, he feels like he's essentially controlled opposition. I'm not too sure about that. Well, I wasn't too sure until this happened, okay? So he did that video about Dane Wiggington. It wasn't even really an attack. It was just like, you know, you're out here scaring people to death. You're taking the hope away from people, and you know, you're just. He put out a copyright strike against the Fullerton Informer. Okay, hit him with a copyright strike. And I'm like, so on the Fullerton Informer, I hadn't seen videos from him for like a couple weeks or any lives. I'm like, what the heck's going on with this guy? But I do know that sometimes he likes to take a vacation. He likes to take a break from YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Especially when he goes out in nature, he likes to go camping and do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So he breaks away from YouTube for a while. And I thought that's what was happening. But then I saw a video, and he uploaded a video to his original channel. Okay. And he's talking about, oh, I did live this morning. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So let me check his backup channel. And yep, sure enough, he has like 10 or 12 videos, 10 or 12 lives that he had done over the last couple weeks on his Wiki Joe channel. And then I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Why is this happening? So I'll go to like the second video, and that's when he's talking about how Dane Wiggington hit him with a copyright strike for that video. And I saw that video and I'm like, Joe never used any of his videos. Joe never used anything that belonged to Dane Wiggington for this video. He just talked about him. Like, you can't hit people with copyright strikes if they're just talking about you, right? Like, they're not using your video. They're not using your intellectual property. So how are you hitting them with a copyright strike? But, well, nevertheless, your boy YouTube went ahead and hit him and disabled his lives on that channel. So that let me know that Joe said something in that video that struck a nerve. All right, that struck a nerve against Dane Wiggington, and now I'm more convinced that Dane Wiggington is a shield. You understand what I'm saying? And the fact that they would strike Joe's channel like that with the live, like it's weird, and that lets me know even further how real this dude is. I mean, I be in his live chat. As a matter of fact, like he has a lot of people in the chat room when he's doing lives, right? And I'm in his live, and I'll say stuff like, "Hey Joe, what's going on?" You know, never really say too much because he's driving, and you know there's just a lot of comments. You know what I'm saying? You know, I big him up on his comments, and I'll go in his comment section afterward, and I'll leave little encouraging comments and whatever. But then all of a sudden one day, I'm one of his moderators. I'm like, what the heck? When did I become a moderator of his? Like when did he decide to make me a moderator? Anyway, but I did correspond with him a couple times via email. You know what I'm saying? Just to hit him up. And, you know, he responds, you know, every now and then. But anyway, I'm just putting this out there. I got mad support. No, not Joe Wiggington. Dane Wiggington. Dane Wiggington is the guy from the Global Alert News Hour. He's the one who's always talking about the geoengineering and how it's destroying the Earth and how it's causing the weather to do this, that, and the third, which is true, right? They modify the weather to keep the rain away, to dry shit out. You know what I'm saying? And there's aluminum in the stuff, and the stuff is, yeah, it's coming down. But he's presenting as though the Earth can bounce back from the geoengineering they're doing. You know, so it's kind of like a lot of fear mongering, a lot of fear porn that he pushes. You know, and Joe, he just doesn't appreciate that. He thinks that's that's the behavior of controlled opposition, right? You put fear, and I always talk about not operating in fear. I always talk about, you know, don't be ruled by fear, because you become paralyzed, right? You're so afraid, you become paralyzed. You tell people the Earth's gonna end in 5 years. You know, mathematically, this, that, and the third. You know, he always uses words like mathematically, scientifically. You know, he uses all this other shit to talk about this, to talk about how he knows the Earth is going to, the biosphere is going to collapse in the by mid 2020. You know, in the mid 2020s. And and so all Joe did was like, I don't trust this guy. You know, I think he's controlled opposition. I think he's striking fear into people's hearts and making people want to give up. You know what I'm saying? And not do anything about it. Even though Dane Wiggington is saying we got to do something, like, you still feel like, well, if we do something and we're past, because he's always talking about how we're past the point of getting the Earth back right. You know, he always saying it's just too late. We could try to salvage what we can. He'll use words like that. And even then it's like, well, what's the point if we're just going to, you know, I mean, okay, so if we don't die in 5 years, if we stop what was going on, if we stop the weather modification, we'll die in 10 years. Like, what's up? So Joe was like, nah, he don't believe that. He's like, look, man, we can turn things around. The Earth can bounce back. You know, we do need to stop the weather modification. We do need to stop this, that, and third. But, you know, we have to stop scaring people into paralysis. And I agree with that. So, and it doesn't mean bullshit them. You know, it doesn't mean bullshit people. But you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. You understand what I'm saying? You don't understand you don't know what's going to happen. Like, we've had a drought in California for years, right? For at least 6 years. But then we had a lot of rain. We had a lot of rain this season, despite all the spraying they were doing. Our weather still pushed through it, and we still got a lot of rain. And I can already see butterflies. I see bees all over the place. You know what I'm saying? I see I haven't seen crane flies in years. You know, they call them mosquito eaters, look like big ass mosquitoes. I see crane flies now. I haven't seen crane flies in years. Okay, I'm seeing moss and you know what I'm saying? Like, the Earth can and will be revitalized. You know, and we talk about aluminum. Yes, the aluminum are drying out the trees. You know, it's throwing off the pH balance of the soil because of the spraying and all that stuff. But All that shit can be renewed. We can renew everything. We can rebuild. We do need to stop the geoengineering. We do need to stop it. No doubt. We need to start speaking out more and more. But the fact that the censorship going on in these platforms nowadays is getting ridiculous. It's more and more, forced vaccinations in Rockfield, or whatever it's called, in New York, forced vaccinations in Iowa, just all the censorship, censoring the Fullerton Informer, you know what I'm saying, because he's talking about some guy, right? Like, what kind of shit is that? He didn't use your stuff. All he did was say he doesn't trust you. And now you struck him down. That lets me know I can't trust you, Dane Wiggington. That just lets me know that. Like, what's up with you, man? You know, what's up? So yeah, I just want everybody to know, you know, I rock with who I rock with. Joe Imbriano is a down-ass white boy, I'm telling you. It don't get no realer than Joe. You understand what I'm saying? And the people that I gravitate toward on these YouTube channels, it don't get realer than them. They real. You know what I'm saying? Like Joe Imbriano, freaking Hassan Campbell. You know, all the people I rock with. Cash, Derek Williams. You know, our shit gets manipulated with all the time. How many times has Cash been hit? Concealed ringleader. How many times have you been hit with strikes? You know, I haven't been hit with any strikes yet because, you know, I'm just, 127 subscribers. I'm no threat yet. But best believe, if I do gain some ground, they already do mess with my stuff. They call it shadow banning. They shadow ban my shit, not outright. You know, they shadow ban it, which means that they manipulate numbers. They won't send out notifications. You know, they'll take subscribers away, my little itty bitty bit of subscribers. They'll show that I have 0 people watching, but there's people all in my comment section. Little shit like that. They shadow ban me. But I mean, if y'all ain't on to Joe Imbriano yet, the Fullerton Informer, if y'all ain't hip to him yet, go check him out. I'm telling you, go watch his stuff. Go to Wiki Joe though. Wiki Joe is his backup channel. That's where he does his lives. He talks about real shit. He has real good perspectives about certain issues. And I got a lot of catching up to do because he did a lot of videos. Wow. Anyway, y'all. Yeah, shout out to Joe. You know what I'm saying? Real ass white dude. You know what I'm saying? Hell of a content. It's my guy.